technology is a little bit OT and a little bit SLP anyways, right? So thanks for joining.
Yeah. So I'm Sarah Kinsella. I'm a speech and language pathologist with the Special Education Technology Center. Just seen Brenda.
Yep. I'm a speech language pathologist as well, and I specialize in AAC.
All right. So let's hear from you. If you want to put in the chat, what do you do? What's your role? We often have parents, OTs, SLPs, TBI. I know we do. Let's hear who you all are. We have OT, SLPs, physical therapist, education specialist, SLP, AT specialist, AT coordinator.
Wow.
OT assistant, school psychologist.
Every kind of team member.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's great. And oh, great. And an instructional assistant. Yay. That really also makes us happy because that's kind of like where this book takes us, is to the team. I was mentioning earlier, this topic today, tools to support writers with significant difficulties, came about as a topic from this book, this Comprehensive Literacy for All book by Karen Erickson and David Copenhaver. And it's all about a team approach. And so we all have something to bring to the table, and experiences of how we're going to use these tools and how to support the students. So fantastic to see you all here today. Thank you. Brenda, I'll just kind of introduce, and then I think you can begin with some of these tools. So from our book study that I mentioned, that is in that link to the SCTC YouTube channel, you can see recordings, or you can join in. We're almost done, but you can still join. In this last chapter, chapter 9, they talked about the process of writing, and that it can look like any pencil. It can look like any paper. It may not be a traditional pencil or paper, but it can look many ways. But that the purpose is communicating experiences, thoughts, feelings. And so when we're looking at the tools today, we want to keep those things in mind. What is the purpose that we're using these for? And so we just like that idea, to have that in mind as we're looking at tools to help support writers. And the book is talking about students with complex needs. So we're also thinking about how can students with complex bodies access these tools? What type of supports do they have for vision and things like that? So maybe a little different than other writing webinars as far as who our audience is for today. Looks like we might have some comments or questions in the chat.
Yeah, I'm just adding, I think I just sent it to panelists, but just in case you logged on later, this is the link to the document Sarah's showing right now. Great. So that you can see that there are live links everywhere, and that they will, so above is the link to the document.
I'm also going to put in a link to this folder because there's just 2 other documents in the folder that we'll reference later that you can have. Oh, yeah. So before we get started looking at these tools, I want to look here. Why do you write? So you know, we can do a bit of reflection as we're supporting our students. We talked a little bit about purpose. Thanks, Andrea. So go ahead and click on that link if you can, this Mentimeter link, and it should take you to, sorry, I didn't have that pulled up. It should ask you to add your ideas of why do you write? Because our students write for a purpose, and so do we. Let me know if you're not able to access it. Great. Lots of different reasons, lots of different purposes. Wonderful. Some of it's social, friends and family, lists are important, sharing your ideas, documenting. Boy, we do a lot of that at work. Yeah, maybe just for fun and for pleasure. Great. Sharing art, documentation. Yeah. So these things are true for students, right? There's so many different reasons why we write and communicate. So like I said, we'll kind of keep that in mind as we're looking at these tools today. Thanks. Okay, so I'll just take you through this real quick. The way we're talking about this is some light tech tools and strategies, and then some high tech tools and strategies. But just know that a lot of these things kind of go together, and you may be using more than one at one time, right? You probably know that and can see how that might work. So first, we have the alternative pencil. Brenda, why don't you go ahead and...
Okay, so we're just going to jump in because the class is about those with significant disabilities. So we're not, obviously, if you've got a kid who can put a pen to paper, you're doing that. But this class is not about that. This class is about the kids who can't do that. So what does writing look like for them? And so what I'm going to do, I think, if I can, is I'm going to share my screen and show you part of a webinar that Heidi from Special Ed Technology Center did. I think you have, there we go. Thank you. Okay, so Heidi's up in the upper right there, and she did a class on alternative pencils. It's a 48-minute webinar, and we highly recommend it. I don't know if it's easy to, maybe I can put this link in the chat. Let's see. But this is a complete look at...
It's in the document, Brenda.
Oh, it's in the document. Thank you. This is a complete look at alternative pencils and all that kind of stuff. So I just want to show you a couple of clips from this. And this is the first one. And she's talking about what does it look like. So it could look like this, where there's an alphabet chart and they are, and I'm going to, it's kind of a partner assisted. So they're saying like, basically, is the letter you're looking for on this page? And there's kind of a yes or no. So you've established yes, no. And if not, then you flip to the next and flip to the next. So I think it's let me just let her talk about it a little bit. And then there's a video of of a kiddo using it.
Students writing, and the partner helps interpret their writing. So let's see. So this is my friend Terry. And before the video starts, I'm going to tell you the student had already done this. And the parent's like, oh my gosh, we have to get a video of that. So some of the places where she's getting a little extra cueing were where she had done it before. And she kind of gives Terry like a good kind of look and a nod up, which it's hard to see in the video for her yes. So here we go.
Right about. We have baseball fun, the park, sports, or school. I like the way you're looking at all of them. Which one do you think you'd like to write about? Show me. Park, sports, school, or baseball?
And she had picked sports the first time, so
All
that's
right.
what
We can
happened.
keep this one here because sports is baseball is about sports too. All right. If you look at these words and these pictures, would you like an A? A B? A B? Okay. B is in baseball. B is in baseball. All right, would you like to choose another word? Would you like an A? A B? A C? A D? Next page. Would you like would you like this one? Player? All right, let's get that word on there. Player's got a P, an L, an A. There's our A, Y, E, R. We'll draw a little guy there. Here's our player. And here's our, we've got baseball and player. Should we look for another word? All right. Would you like an A? A B? No, a C? A D? An E? E? Okay, we'll get an E. I see that there's an E in our baseball and an E in player. Would you like an F? A G? An H? More what? An I? Okay. Right about. Right about.
Okay.
So that was, I thought, super, a great example of that. There's no wrong answer. She's letting the student say yes and no. They're using the flip chart, and they've given her written words, they've given her words with pictures, and they've given her single letters to do her own writing. And so that is one way to use the flip chart. The other way to use the flip chart is to is using the flip chart only, where they're just doing letters, but that's a lot of pressure. So sometimes you'll have, what does it start with? Again, we've got the topic and what does it start with? So it's a little bit easier to guess maybe the word they're trying to go for. And then you've got the letters for clarity. So that was one cool way to do it. And I thought that was great. And then another part is the color-coded eye gaze frame. And is this what's next in that worksheet? Sorry.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. So, and there are printable files for this, but basically this is where they, you have them pick you have them pick a color twice. Let's have Heidi explain it.
Okay, so any questions there?
Oh.
You can unmute and ask, or we can just keep going here. This is one that you could build up here out of PVC pipe. You could also make it on just a big piece of black poster board with a cutout in the middle so you can see their eyes. It's an eye gaze frame. And so you're on the opposite side, and the mirror, the picture is on the opposite side as well to help you. There's a front side and a back side for this template. And you're like, okay, we're gonna write a word. And you've already done some teaching that, okay, there's a pink, there's a pink outline here. There's a yellow outline here, green, blue, and you can say you could do it a couple ways. What color is the letter you want? And if they look up here, okay, it's a yellow letter. And you can say, show me what yellow letter you want. And that it might look over here and it's a V, and you're like, okay, I'm going to write a V down. Does that make sense? I'm reading this book, which is really an awesome book written by a woman with a disability who uses an AAC device. And she has an alphabet that she has come up with that she has taught all of her caregivers. And it's her alternative pencil on her alternative way to communicate. So each of the letters has some eye movements. And so looking to the right is position 1, upper right is position 2, middle is position 3, 4, and 5. So if she looks to the right twice, then that's an A that she's trying to say. And so you can kind of see here kind of what she's got as her letters. And she talks about how at first everybody kind of has to use the cheat sheet, but then they get pretty quick at being able to communicate because she doesn't like to have her AAC device on her all the time. And especially when she's in bed and having breakfast, she wants to just, be away from the screen a little bit. So I thought that.
So I just thought that was fascinating. And I have actually witnessed this before where I've gone into homes and it's like people have these like, let's see, they'll say like, is it 1 through 13? And if the kid says yes, then they know that's the beginning of the alphabet. Like there's every kind of alternative pencil you can think of is, and I didn't even know the word alternative pencil till recently because I'm not in the school world, but basically any way that you can access letters is a way to start writing. And we're not testing the writing. So they are giving us a letter and we're writing it out just like somebody is able to scribble, and they end up scribbling letters, and sometimes they end up doing BSL, and you go, I think you're talking about baseball, and we all accept that as an early writer. So we would accept that as an early writer if the letters were given in this form as well. So any questions, comments on those two alternative little pieces?
There's a great question, and we can also lean on our OT friends who are here. It's, should I start with upper or lowercase letters on the ABC flip chart?
So on the ABC flip chart, they recommend lowercase, but you saw on the eye gaze, it was uppercase. I think visually, there's more distinction between the lowercase alphabet than the uppercase alphabet. Uppercase is very blocky. Also, the keyboard, the keyboard that all other kids are learning on typically is uppercase, but the words written in the classroom are lowercase. Anyone want to weigh in?
Brenda also.
I'm looking at the chart. I'm looking at the chat, but I don't see any new ones, so I don't know why I can't see what you're saying.
Oh, that was a Q&A.
Oh, okay.
There's a comment, our Chromebooks have a lowercase alphabet.
Oh, I see that now. Yeah.
Chromebooks are lowercase. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Brenda commented that there are handouts that go with, I'm gonna just share that.
Yeah.
Let me share my screen real quick.
Yes.
Because I think there's some really nice things here. So in the folder, in the chat, you have our document today, and then there's alternative pencil overview. And this is from University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. And Brenda, do you want to talk about this at all?
Yeah, I mean, this is like these two documents are one of my favorites because I think it puts it all together. You'll see those flip charts in uppercase and lowercase and low vision and high vision there. And then you'll see all these varieties of ways to do writing as well as keyboards. And we'll get to that in a minute. So this is just kind of like all the possible ways to do things. Some of them are a little bit outdated, but I still think the document is great. And then the other one talks about how to actually get going with it and attribute meaning to the letters that they give. Like she said when she picked B, she attributed that the B stood for modeling. I mean, the B stood for baseball. She did a nice job pausing and giving the girl time, at least 10 seconds to make a decision and do think out louds. Like when she picked it, like, I'm seeing E on other parts of your page, and avoiding the test and no. So sometimes this is just something to maybe just print and post, or maybe use these 8, I think there's 8 things that might be like 8 things to remember while you are presenting. Then there's those ideas at the bottom that are like scavenger hunts, and there's like, I don't know, 10 fun ideas of what to do with literacy too. So those 2 handouts from Center for Disabilities or something from Chapel Hill are priceless and valuable. And even though they're from, I don't know, 2007 or something, 2009 maybe, a lot of it still applies because a lot of this is low tech.
And I was thinking that we had put the printable, you know, there's the file that has what you can just print and have the pencils.
Yeah.
I was thinking we put that, but I don't see it. So we will make sure to add that into there.
I think it was on that website that we found those. So that was a little tricky to find though. So once we found it, we downloaded it, you guys, and we put it in a separate folder because the Google of Chapel Hill and all that, because it was hard to find. So,
Brenda,
yeah.
I just put that link in the chat that you're talking about.
Oh, Linda.
Thank you.
Because I didn't realize you had it in the documents. So they
Oh,
do.
but is that the printable?
Well, it's their website where you can download each of those things that you had shown.
Yes,
It's
Okay.
it's.
that's right.
Is that what you're looking for? I'm not sure, but is that what you're looking for?
Yes.
Okay, yes, but it looks like, Linda, you might have just sent it to panelists. So I'm going to send it again to
Oh,
attendees.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So what Linda's saying is that when I just put it in there, the Med UNC, she thinks that that's the link to the web page that has the 2 we found that had the printable.
Great. And I need to fix this because I see that this is actually going to the alternative pencil video, and I meant to have that printable link here. So thank you so much. Thanks for.
Oh, and I checked links and still missed that one. Okay.
That's okay. All right. Thanks,
So,
everybody.
That's kind of, so, you know, like I said, if you're sitting here joining, I don't know what an alternative pencil is, neither do I, and I'm teaching the class because I just don't know the vocabulary. Do you know how to use letters in alternative ways to create writing? That's alternative pencils. It's just the fancy way of talking about it.
Can I wanted to just share a different writing opportunity. So in here, there's 2 videos, also 2 recordings of alternative pencils, 2 separate videos, one that Brenda shared. Let's see if this is going to work. May just have some problems loading. Okay, never mind. I'll come back to that. I was going to share a teacher
If
friend.
you want to send the link, I can try it on mine.
Okay, I'll come back to it and try it in a bit. But I didn't add this in here, but if you look on our SETS YouTube channel, and maybe Andrea and Linda, you can look, there's a personal narrative writing webinar our friend April Whitecamp did. That's a fantastic one, and she shows about how she's doing writing with her students, and she uses a different kind of alternative pencil when she's doing that. I have her videos, so I'll hopefully be able to share those. Okay, should we move on?
Yeah. Okay. Am I doing this part? Yes, I am, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Pictello is an opportunity to do writing that would be ultimately switch accessible. So it's kind of like they've talked about in a lot of these, if you've established a yes and a no, and then Pictello is one way to write a book. If you have iPads and you have this application. And so let me share my screen, but I think Sarah, you have to, yeah, thank you. Okay. I'm reflecting my iPad onto the screen so that you guys can see this. Just give me 2 seconds here. Hmm.
As we're waiting for that, just also know there's so many tools for writing, so many different places to find so many different things. We're only showing a few here, but if you're just dying to tell us about something that you use, please do, and we'd all love to hear.
So I'll chime in. This is Kendra. Hi, guys. One of
Hi.
the things that I did, because I couldn't find my files to print out those alternate pencils, I found at Walmart these Post-it notes with the alphabet. And so I just basically made my flip chart that way with the whiteboard. I needed to do it really fast for a training. So if you don't have those files, you can definitely do something creative like that. And it worked nicely. And for your comments about whether or not you should use lowercase or uppercase, I think I've heard a lot in the field that they're leaning more towards lowercase letters because that's what's most often used in text and what kids are seeing in text. Because you're seeing more lowercase letters in print than you are uppercase. But I would defer that to any OT to know for sure.
I've heard the same, Kendra, that they're leaning towards the uppercase is more functional. I am having trouble with my reflector, so I don't know if I can show my iPad to right this second. So I wonder if you could move on to Tar Heel while I work through this piece, and I can do Pictello and GoTech as soon as my reflector's working. Does that work, Sari? I think she might be muted.
Sorry.
Well,
One of
that's okay.
those. I'm clicking the mute and it's not happening. Okay, so next on our list is Tar Heel Reader. So we have done a webinar on Tar Heel Reader and writing a book and Tar Heel Writer for the writing part of Tar Heel Reader. So if you want more detail, there is that. But let's look at this because Tar Heel Reader is fantastic. Such a great tool and it's free and you can just get going. You can read books on Tar Heel Reader right away, but you can write a book. So what you're going to do is you put tarheelreader.org, it gets you right to write a book. You have to log in, so you have to have an account. And I'm just going to do that real quick. Okay. And then it's just right away getting into it. So I love it because it's simple and quick, and that's what we want sometimes, right? So let's say you've worked with your student or your group or your class, and you've already discovered, like from the book, if you're part of the book study or if you've read the book at all, you know that they talk about topic choice. Assigning a topic to our student isn't as, it's quick, but it's not as beneficial as having them come up with some topics on their own. So let's say they've come up with some topics they're choosing so they can do some gimme 5 activities, like 5 things I know about or whatever. And so we're going to do tractor. Let's say that's preferred topic they want to talk about. We've read a mentor text about it. Maybe it was a poetry book about tractors where we're talking about visualizing and verbalizing. So here we're going to get that, get started on tractor. And then we want to rewrite a book about it. So we're going to talk about what does it look like? What does it feel like? So you just type right in, find your pictures and search, and it uses, I think, the Flickr library. And so I'm just going to click on a few. I'm going to add that one because I like the colors. Then let's see, I'm going to go to maybe this one because it's dirty. I think that's going to get some conversation going. And maybe this one looks really old, but okay, so you select what you want to add to your book. You can also add your own pictures. So as long as it's, you know, not copyrighted material, add your own pictures. Now, one thing I'll say is that at the end of this, you have the option to save it as a draft and you can view it in your own account and share it with students, or you can publish it and then it becomes public. So you don't want to upload pictures of your students without permission. So think about those kind of things as you're doing it. But next, quick and simple, enter a short sentence for each page. So, you know, whatever we're going to say, tractors sound like a tiger. So remember, we're trying to get into those. Maybe we're working on describing words with our AAC device too, and thinking about poetry and visualizing and verbalizing. Okay, tractors look like a dirty pig. You know, you've gone through this with your students. They've decided what they're going to write. Tractors feel like, and I might say smooth because those tires are smooth. Whatever it is. Then you've got a sentence for each page. And then you can put your title, tractor poetry. You can choose a language, pretty neat. And then you can categorize your book if you want it to be searched, kind of like a tag. And then I'm going to save it as a draft. Okay. So then you've got your whole book. If I go back here to my books, here's our tractor poetry, and we can read it. Up in Tar Heel Reader, when you're signed in, you can save your preferences. If you're not signed in, you always need to go here to speech first and turn it on. It's going to read it aloud. I also have options to change the colors, the page and the color and the text color, so I can have some sort of contrast if I want. I can download this book as a PDF or put it into Pictello, which hopefully Brenda will be able to show us. Pictello.
Yes, I got
and
it.
there's awesome. There's some other options that you can do, making buttons bigger. So you can use a switch with this. You could use it touch screen. Lots of options. So here we go. And then love this for writing, right? You can, or reading, you can decide what you want to do. You can rate this book and then you can talk about it. Like, what did we think about this book? Why do we like these books? Lots to do here. So I just love how quick and easy this program is. Any questions about Tar Heel Reader writing a book before we move on?
How did you hook it up to a switch?
So you need a switch interface. So if you have like a universal switch interface or hitch or something, you would plug that into your computer and then you plug your switch in, and then it'll tell you there. Let me share my screen again. It'll tell you what command, what to use. So, but basically you just plug it in and it's like enter and select, or space or over and enter. So over for the page, you click the one switch for over if you're doing two switches, and then one will be enter. It's just right away is when you have your interface. But there's I think it's in help here. There's I will find it and I'll get it to you so I don't waste time, but it does tell you how to do 1, 2, or 3 switches in here. Yeah, good question, Chris. But it is pretty easy to also start with switches.
So if you have a switch interface for your iPad, you can also just save the Tar Heel writing to Pictello, right? You send it to Pictello, Sari, and then you just use your Bluetooth interface for your iPad for switch access as well. Teresa? it looks like Teresa has her hand raised. No? Okay.
There is a question in the Q&A. Would you have to wait until the student is a conventional writer rather than an emergent writer before they could help write a Tar Heel book? And thank you. Good question. I would say you can start doing that anytime. You know, it's all about scaffolding. What is your goal? You may have a different goal for students in your group about writing, but certainly being part of writing a book could happen anytime. I don't know what you think, Brenda.
Absolutely. I mean, I do that all the time, as you guys know that have been to some of my webinars. So it'll be like, once upon a time there was a what, and then they give me one word, they give me a letter, they give me something, and we run with it. So they learn, they get to experience the purpose of writing even before they are conventionally ready for it, so that it stays motivating. Let's see. So I'm gonna share my screen now. And this is what Pictello looks like. And so what you can do is start a new one, and there's wizard mode or expert mode. And so I'm just gonna call this purple crayon.
Purple.
And then, so you will choose a picture. So I'm just going to tell you that I did a Harold and the Purple Crayon writing. Oops. Sorry, just a second. Where is it? I don't know why these are not coming up in the right order. Photos? I just had it up, you guys. What is this? Here we go. So we'll just pick one of these. And I feel like that's going the wrong direction, but I'm just going to go with it. You choose your voice, or you can record. And sometimes I end up doing the writing and come back, and I have those that are verbal and hyperlexive, like a child with autism. They may end up reading their own books after they write it. Sometimes they will need to write, and then when you can come back and make a recording, and then you can add a page. So what you're doing is you're adding a picture from your library. Again, so like there's a picture of Gracie's drawing from a purple crayon. And then you have a top label and a bottom label. So maybe this is just Gracie's page.
Gracie's. Gracie's.
Well, let's just do this.
Gracie. And the purple crayon.
So then I might say, and so what she had done is used her AAC to pick out pictures that she wanted me to draw. And I'm obviously no artist, but here we are. And then at the bottom, I'm saying, what's your favorite part? And I might be using the letter page for this. So if they give me F, then I'm writing flowers, or
flower,
or I'm oh gosh, my keyboard is in the way. Or I'm making a sentence out of flower. So again, I think if she uses the letters to make a sentence, then I write it. If she's super emergent in writing, then I take the first letter and give that a spin. So you're creating all of this, by the way, and then when you're done with the story, if you hit the switch,
purple crayon,
So you'll see, sorry, at the bottom, you'll see that they can do manually where they scan it, autoplay where it just plays automatically, slideshow, which can do one click, and then switches you can set up to turn the page with one switch or read it with the other switch. And again, that's with the Bluetooth interface to the iPad. So it's just a way to do it. And it's like you can do my example with Harold and the Purple Crayon would be everybody gets a page in this book. But you can also do it in a book where each kiddo is making their own book according to whatever. And maybe it's a book report. Maybe everybody's going to use Pictello to switch through and learn about what somebody else's favorite book is, and to narrow what they might choose next time, that kind of thing. So there's all kinds of opportunities, but this is how Pictello works, and it is switch accessible. Any questions?
Thanks,
on
Brenda.
Pictello? I'm not sure what's next on our list. Is it Go Talk?
It's Go Talk, yeah. So if you
Okay,
want to
so-
stay on your iPad, that's great.
Yeah, let's do that. So, I mean, I have so many ideas with literacy on Go Talk. Okay, but I have to stay focused. Writing. Okay. Because I can't, you guys, with so many ideas. So Go Talk is a AAC application that doesn't come programmed with very much, but you can obviously tell that I use this for all kinds of purposes, and you can make a lot of different boards in here. But I think the one I want to show you, well, first of all, there's two things. One, you can just have a board where it's what we're using with low tech, where it's switch accessible. So they can be going A, B, C, D as they scan through. And then when they hear the letter they want, they hit the other switch. It can be two switch scanning, or it can be auto scan where it's doing it automatically. You could also decide it says A, B, K, D, because you can record on what the auditory preview is for Go Talk. So, and then I have done these pretty generic, but sometimes I have, I have created, and I'll show you, I think you guys probably saw it, but like I have created, come on, different first letters for different kids. So for example, that's Ellery for E, right? And then Incredibles was her I, because that's one of her favorite movies. So we used Go Talk to create an alphabet that's meaningful, and then we use the meaningful alphabet to pick letters with auditory preview. Does that kind of make sense?
And does auditory preview make sense? How that she's talking about how that works? If anybody wants more information, this is great. Brenda has amazing examples on her Go Talk, so feel free to dive in and ask some questions.
I know, I kind of want to just like keep looking at what I wanted to show you. There's another one though for literacy that is about writing, and it also helps with what I'm talking about. So it is the literacy one. And isn't it funny that I called it literacy? Like, come on, like, okay, so it's here-ish. Let me see.
There's a
Fauna.
question on Go Talk. Are there alphabet templates to download?
No, but everybody has asked me, how do I get all your boards? And I literally need to ask Attainment if there's a way to just package the ones that me and some of my colleagues have
Beginning
made.
sounds.
I think this is the other one I wanted to show. And I think because of Reflector, it's not wanting to jump to that page, but it's really, okay, let me see.
Beginning sounds.
Okay. So this is one where if they scan, it will say, this is a test. What does this start with? And then when you get to the A, it says a, b, k, a, b, k. And if they select a, it says, no, cat doesn't start with a. And if they hit B, it says, no, cat doesn't start with B. If it did, it'd be bat. And then when you hit C, it says, you're right, cat starts with C. And then it moves to the next one. So it can also be done for testing, although you probably, if you've ever taken a class with me, you know how I feel about testing. But I do know that it helps them realize that if they pick the right letter, they're going to get the animal they want. So sometimes I will do an animal above each of the letters. And so they're seeing, if I want an alligator in my story, I'm going to pick A. If I want a bear in my story, I'm going to pick B. If I want the C in the story, I'm going to pick cat in the story, I'm going to hit C. So you can create, the creativity is the game of Go Talk. It doesn't come with any of this. So if I can ever figure out a way, I mean, there are some ways to share some boards, but I haven't figured out how to just send out. Having said that, the most successful use I've had with Go Talk and alternative pencils is creating the alphabet with the child. So again, I is Incredibles for the girl that's important to, and the other kiddo gets ice cream for I, right? And so they're really invested in the alphabet that they're working with, because it represents words that they want to use and know and like.
That would be fun to do a screenshot of those too, and like have it around the room at their house or something, of their own alphabet.
Yes, and I do that a lot with Go Talk too. And you can screenshot it, and you can print them. You can low tech board them all as well, and it's a cheaper way to have Board Maker if you want Board Maker. So I teach classes all day. I feel like I teach a class every quarter on Go Talk, and it's still one of the highly attended ones because it is so many possible ideas. Any questions on this? Any other things you want to see? I don't think I can see the chat really.
There's nothing in the chat right now.
Okay.
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 I think next on our list, we were going to look at Clicker. So I will pull that up. In the chat, let us know. Is anybody using Clicker? Anybody using Clicker 8 or apps? So as we're waiting for those comments to come in, Clicker is a neat writing tool. It's been around for a long time. Some school districts may have it as like a universal tool for special ed students, early grades. Some districts have it for certain students. There's a change recently with Clicker 8 and then Clicker Writer. So you may have the Clicker apps on your iPad, Clicker Sentences, Clicker Connect. You may be familiar with those. And that's changed a bit now in how they are selling Clicker. So there are some differences that I've learned about, but a lot of similarities in there. I'm just gonna go to the chat real quick and see what.
Looks like Teresa's districts is ordered Clicker. No one else's. I have a couple teams trialing it.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like maybe a couple different things.
Yeah, okay. And I know other folks on here have had it for some students. Basically, there's a few different things about Clicker. It's a talking word processor. And what's showing down here is there are different scaffolds available. So, for instance, let me see, I just want to get to the one where it doesn't change around. So sentence sets. So this is similar to the app In Clicker 8, this is what you would install on your Windows or Mac Clicker Writer on an iPad or Chromebook. So Clicker Sentences was the app you had on your iPad before. If you want to check it out before buying it or to trial, the Special Ed Tech Center does have Clicker apps on iPad, so you could look at those. But there's a lot of scaffolding available. So for instance, you could have a picture reference, and then you have the words that make up a sentence. And within this type of activity, which is Switch accessible, you also have scaffolds built in as far as you can click to hear the words, you can preview them before you select them. So a student might click on Sally to hear it before it selects. You can set up the words in random order. You can set them up in sentence order. And you can also do a guided order, which means the student won't be able to select any word. They can click on story, but it won't go into the document up here unless it's in the right order. So when they click on Sally, it will go up. But if they clicked on A first, it wouldn't. So it's guiding them, learning to do that left or right writing and what sentences start and end with. When you put the period in, it reads the whole thing. So lots of scaffolds built in here. I am going to just show you this really quickly.
While you're looking for that, Clicker Writer is a free app, and then when you get in, there's in-app purchases. You can kind of check it out without needing a Setsi iPad, because there is examples of everything before you would purchase the within-app purchase. I know within-app purchases can be a little bit tricky when you're talking to your school district, but that's the way, that looks like this is the way this app works. It's new, Clicker Writer, right?
Clicker Writer is, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's a, you can download it. I mean, it's free to get, and then actually use inside it is different in-app purchases.
Right. So I'm going to play this, and then we have a great question in the Q&A that we'll get to. Okay. So there's a question in the book, Comprehensive Literacy for All. They support writing letter by letter and not whole words. Is that correct? So let's talk about that. Again, I think it sometimes comes to like, what is your purpose for the writing and practicing different things? Brenda, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that there's a time and place for letter by letter, and I think that there is, I think that sometimes, so if they're picking something off their AAC and it's a whole word, it can still be considered writing, but I wouldn't count it spelling. Whereas if you do letter by letter, I think it is spelling. And again, not necessarily testing for accuracy on spelling, but close enough to understand words. But I think there's a place for both.
Yeah, and feel free to chime in with any other thoughts on that. There's another question on TouchChat or Clicker. Can cells in the software be programmed to play a video, or can a cell be programmed to control other software or operating features, such as initializing a second software to play a song or read a book? In GoTalk, definitely, you can do that.
So in TouchChat, you can play a video. And if you have the link to the website that's on the video, and then I believe TouchChat now has a link straight to Pictello. So in TouchChat, you can link out to Pictello, and that's the only other app that they connect to. Is that right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the latest.
And Prolook would go also, I think, right?
Right, because they're both at software. Yeah.
Right. With Clicker, not to my knowledge, but I can look into that and get back to you and see.
Yeah, I don't think so either with Clicker.
And then another question, are the template boards in Clicker templates, or did you make all of those? Those are all templates. Clicker comes with some templates, but they also have a large shared resource. I'm totally blanking on the name of it right now, but
Learning grids.
thank you, learning grids, where you can search like for a topic. Maybe you're looking at science or something like that, rock formation or poetry, and download templates that way. Are there any other questions? Okay. All right, we are out of time, so we will stay for a few more minutes if there are questions. Thank you so much for joining. I just want to call your attention to the other resources, because the chapter from the book study on emergent writing may be helpful for many people. If you haven't seen that yet, that's the recording. And then chapter 9 was the writing we just did. Heidi Breslin did a webinar called Fun and Creative Ways to Publish Students Writing, and she has a lot of great writing tools examples in there and things that we didn't talk about today. And then Jane Farrell has awesome ideas and resources here. So thank you so much. And we appreciate you being here.